I think that when you look at what lasts, like what is the timeless, not the trending, not the keeping up with the right thing on social media, et cetera. Like what is it that you can like bank on? It's the people. For sure, it's the people. And I think the more that we take care of people, the more that that's going to return.
Hey guys, welcome back to Real Estateable, your go-to podcast for raw, real, and relevant information in the real estate world. Today, we're just doing a recap of the first 6 months of 2024, and I feel like it's been insane. Insane.
I know, but we've made it halfway through the year. I feel like it's like a survival mode. Like one of our good friends, Q, just played on survival, and I was like, this is like real life experience of survival. And hello, guys, we made it.
Yeah.
First half of the year, we made it. We're so pumped to be heading into the second half of the year. We walked in this morning to our podcast room, and you could see new environment, new us. But we're super pumped to be catapulting into the second half of the year. But yes, guys, we made it through the first half, and we're going to talk about that, recap that all with you guys today.
All right, give it a listen. All right, so the first 6 months, we did it. Like, I feel like year 6, I'm in year 6, and this has just been the craziest year. And it's not even due to like so many closings, because my year has started off really slow as far as closing deals. But I feel like a lot of my business this year, I've had sellers who are just like more prepared than I've had in the past. I know that the market has changed, like COVID market. People were like, I want to list tomorrow. I'm like, cool, we're under contract in a weekend. Boom, done, closing. Now, not so much. Houses are sitting a little bit. Sellers are, wanting to prep their homes a little bit more. They're wanting to do the work to get the best offer and the highest net. And so a lot of the appointments that I went on in December, January turned into May listings. And my May, I think I've had 7 listings and go active in May.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's crazy, especially with the amount of time and effort it takes for listings. The prep and preparing for that is pretty intense. So yeah, it's been an intense. And it's funny because you shared a couple times, I have not closed anything, but I've not ever worked as hard as I am now. And it wasn't like you didn't have business, you just didn't have closings. And I feel that in my soul as well too. I'm like, I'm working way harder than I ever have for way less money, but still I feel very successful and moving the needle. But it's definitely not as easy as taking orders like we did the last couple of years. Our broker will say running fast and loose. And I definitely feel like we're coming off of that. And it's not that it's more difficult. It is definitely just the complete opposite. It is difficult for sure, but it's not even like when I look at 17 years in the business, I'm like, okay, this is not the most difficult that we've seen. It's just different, definitely different. And it's way more exhausting for sure. I feel like we were sprinting, and now we need to go from our sprints into a marathon, and we're halfway through the marathon of 2024, but we still have another 17, 18.
Well, I'm not
200
a runner.
months. Neither am I. Oh my gosh. What are we doing? It's crazy. It's for sure crazy. So
I also think the dynamic of the buyers and sellers has changed as well.
Oh God, yeah.
Like I feel like a little bit, even like COVID sellers, I feel like were more chill because they knew they were going to get an offer. Not so much anymore. I feel like a lot of my sellers are
chill.
Why is there no showings? What did this, like, immediately as soon as the potential buyers walk out the door, they're like, well, what was the feedback? I'm like, they haven't even left the driveway yet. Get off your camera, So like, that's been really taxing on me mentally, I think. Like I feel like sometimes I'm just at everybody's beck and call,
Well, I also feel like we pride ourselves in being ahead of the client for sure. And so when that stuff is happening, not only is it taxing in like just the response and like the aggressive response that's expected, it almost feels like a sense of failure. Like I'm not doing my job, even though you're like, I have never one time ever got feedback as we're pulling out of the like never ever.
Yeah.
So, and even I also feel like preparing clients now, buyers and sellers, when you have like expectation appointments or expectation conversations, then reality hits and it's like you've never had that conversation before. That's also frustrating, I feel, on our side, where it's like, guys, we've already talked about this. Like, never have I ever let you think that this is how this will work. And then it's like, okay, well, let's rein it back in. Like, we have to understand, like, people are just more stressed. People are more strapped. People are more, just anxious about, so let's have the conversation. Next day, same thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Over
Same
and over and over
conversation.
until we die, but we didn't die.
Yeah.
So.
I also think sometimes, like, right now, people just aren't respecting boundaries, and
Mhm.
so that makes it hard because I really do try, my best to have family time at night. And I don't think that there's nothing wrong with that. No,
100%.
nothing should come in the way of family time. Now, can I return a text? Sure. But should you be blowing me up, calling me 10 times, texting me 20 times at 9:30 at night? I'm not answering.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, sometimes I did actually with recently, but I'm like, that's my time. I'm going to bed.
Well, but don't you also, we've talked about this too, about like boundaries, expectations, priorities, because there's been so many times that we've sacrificed things that should have been priorities, and put it ahead of those things that really truly matter. Are you still having those conversations with clients, just kind of expectations of working hours, response time, et cetera? Like, you're still having those same conversations with them, right?
I feel like I need to do a better job, I guess.
Well, I do too, but I think it goes back to, not that I think you need to do a better job, but
No,
I'm
I
saying,
need to. I know I probably need to, because if my clients are doing
but
that.
I kind of feel like it's the same thing that we just talked about though, like where it's like, hey, this is what you can expect, which is also has to do with my working hours, response time, et cetera, which I feel like is top tier. Like, it's not like, hey, expect a response in 24 hours, like when you call like the government or something.
Yeah.
It's still top tier, but there's certain things like you coach softball for the second half of the school year, and it's like that was a huge time suck
Yeah.
for you, but a priority. But I feel like even when we're having those conversations, when a consumer, buyers and sellers, are like, whatever it is at 9:30, 20 text messages, 7 calls or whatever, that is a priority. And it does not matter how many conversations you've had. There is something that they are not going to get past until that actually is responded to. So, just curious to see if you guys are feeling the same way, how you're addressing that. I don't think it's a good or a bad thing, but it definitely feels like when you've been working harder than you ever have been, um, it's frustrating because you're like, hey, trying to set everybody up for success and still have balance and still raise kids and still not lose out on those times you're not getting back. And how do you balance that? Because we do want to do the best for our clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, if you had 6,700 conversations and
Well,
doing better, would it actually yield a different result? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, we always can do better.
well,
But
and I also think having Sabrina, our TC admin, we're all in a group text with the client. So if maybe sometimes I can't answer right away, like for example, doing podcasts, maybe my clients are texting me, but I know Sabrina's in that text and she knows that I'm doing this. So I'm not available right now, but she can answer 99% of the questions that my client asks.
well, and we've trained her too. Like, our
Yeah.
support staff, we've trained the boundaries with them. So
Hmm.
they're trained and employed for certain boundaries, but they can absolutely fill in the gap. That has been a game changer for
Well,
me
and
too.
she's licensed.
Yes,
So
she's
she's
limited
not
too.
like
Mhm.
overstepping any boundaries by answering a real estate question.
Yeah. No, for sure, for
So,
sure. Definitely different things to put into play, but I just feel like there's gonna have to be some type of, I don't wanna say grace to extend it to the clients, but I think that no matter what we do, there is never gonna be a time where it's like, we don't have to go, "Hey, let's revisit this conversation."
hmm.
Like, I just think that from a consumer standpoint, from human standpoint, like, we're just in a different time right now where it's taking gentle reminders, pokes, prods to be like, this is all completely normal. Are you having so on the listing side, for sure, I feel like I'm having different expectation conversations. Like, I'm
Hmm.
having different expectation conversations about how many showings and offers, and not necessarily yielding multiple offers in our market. Definitely having those with the sellers, but for the buyers, the hundreds of showings with the buyers.
Mm.
What kind of conversations have you had over the first half of the year that you're like, okay, this has helped me be a little bit more successful in guiding buyers?
I think right now is involving the lender with the
Mm,
numbers, because then you're not going to be showing them houses that they're not comfortable with the payment.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, you want your, and I just asked them, hey, like, instead of saying, what's your price range? Because they don't know. They just got pre-approved for 300,000, but their payment will be way too much. So they need to be shopping at 250 or 225. And so just knowing and getting those numbers from the lender has really changed it for me, because now we're not looking at houses that we know are going to be too expensive.
Yeah. I for sure. I think that now more than ever, that's always been our approach to
Mhm.
say, like, I don't care about your budget, what you're qualified for, but what your payment that you're comfortable with. Now more than ever, and I think about Katie, one of our newer agents, every single listing that or every single listing that she shows for her buyers, she has payment quotes in hand for those.
What?
Seems crazy, but honestly, it's been super effective. She converts at 100%. Like literally, her conversion of a lead is at 100%. So I don't know if that's just people feeling comfortable, people feeling informed, people feeling equipped. But if she gets in front of a potential buyer, she is under contract with them for something that
Mhm.
they're comfortable with. So I mean, I think that's extreme, and you have to have a lender that is
Yeah.
going to partner with you on every single one of those. Now, she's also not, with doing that approach, she's not showing as many because she's counting out a good majority of these because they're not in their comfort level. For us, we have a little bit of a difference in taxes in different angles
Mhm.
of our town, our county, or the areas that we're in. So that does affect the numbers that we're seeing. So just some things to consider through the process with buyers. But I feel like with buyers, I'm having a hard time right now, just in general, with them thinking that there's not a better option around the corner. Like, if they wait, there'll be something better. Like, okay, I'm not ready to offer, but what's happening and what I'm seeing is, okay, we have a number one choice, whether or not it's the best choice or not for them. Okay, all relatively speaking, but they have a number one, quote unquote, a number one that they've chosen, but we're going to wait to see if there's another possibility, but then we could possibly offer on this. So they're going to wait a week, 2 weeks, whatever. 9 times out of 10, that one that they're waiting for may not fly off the market, but it's off the market by the time that they're considering other things that may or may not come. So I'm struggling right now, and struggled, this year with the conversation to motivate and not overshadow the fact that inventory will be coming,
Mhm.
and that prices might drop as houses are sitting, and it might work to their benefit. Just having a really hard time navigating how do I best advise buyers based off of a new environment that we're not used to. And I think it puts them in a better position to be able to make really clear, concise decisions, get better suited housing for them. So it's definitely better than what we've come off of, but it's like, okay, how do I set them up for success and really not let them sleep on the right choice, but also not miss and overshoot into the wrong choice?
Mhm.
That's a balance for sure. And having those conversations and figuring out how to pivot and how to make or how to help people make the right decisions. That's been a 2024 mantra for me for sure. I also have had more buyers this year. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, and
You've
I've
had
had
more listings.
way more
Yeah.
listings.
As
And
you just said that, I was like, "Wait,
we flip-flopped this year.
that's dumb."
Well, I feel like the last couple of years I've been pretty 50-50.
Yeah, you have. Yeah,
This year I'm definitely listing heavy,
for sure.
um, which has been a change. I mean, I like having listings, listing agents last, so
Yeah. It
hopefully.
For sure. I just think it's, being around in the room with the people that are having the conversations with what, like I said, leveling up to where you want to be and surrounding yourself with those people. And so I think that just curious to see if you guys have any advice on things that we're going through, like the struggles that we're having with boundaries, the struggles that we're having with conversations and guiding and directing the buyers into the right direction. I think that there's no wrong or right answer. And I think that if anything, if 2024 has taught us anything this year, it is that we are working with a different degree of folks.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same people,
It's different.
it's like a ninja ninth degree belt of insanity.
Yeah, I've had like well, my a couple of my sellers have been like super chill. And I even told the one seller I had, I'm like, I don't even remember what it happened. Maybe the deal fell through. I think the deal fell through. And he was like, all right, cool. Like we can just put it back on. And I was like, can you be like talk to all my clients and teach them your chillness? Because obviously telling a seller that the buyer's backing out is not an easy conversation.
Mhm.
You feel like you failed them, even though it wasn't up to you in the first place. But he was like so chill, like, yeah, let's just get it done. All right, move on to the next. And I was like, you're amazing.
Yeah. Well, every seller though has so many different logistics in the background.
Yeah.
And the more, and I think that that's the other part of like the psychology, because whether or not we like it, we're counselors and psychologists
Oh,
and
yeah.
all of the other human nature type of thing. But finding out more about motivation and the what is the background for your clients, I think is going to help you kind of direct a little bit more than you've ever had to. So many people are saying we're no longer taking orders. For sure, we are absolutely head deep in the people business right now.
Yeah.
And so knowing and having more of just conversation and listening and not necessarily responding, just listening to what their needs are and ahead of that sign in the yard, ahead of those showings, I think that's going to help guide and direct. And it's helped me a little bit in those kind of quantums that we're talking about, like the things that it's like, hey, now what? But okay, if you remember back to why the Smith family really doesn't have to have, something now, then here, there. Really, when you get back to that, the people part of this, I think that if you're diving into that even more so right now, I think it will help kind of guide your interactions, guide your responses, for sure.
Basically, we're in the customer service business,
Mhm.
right? So we're catering to people's needs. That's what we do. We're in the relationship business. So you're building that rapport, that trust, and then following through with the response, like responsiveness, replying to your clients, taking care of business. And I think that sometimes in the busyness, you can forget what a client is going through, like
Mhm.
the stresses of, oh my gosh, I need to find a house. And for us, being in a military town, we're constantly on a time crunch. Hey, I have 1 month to find somewhere to live.
Yeah.
What? Like now we need to find something that has temporary early occupancy potentially. And so we get these unique scenarios and we have to learn how to pivot and best serve these people and have different tools in our toolbox to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is one of the key things is like busyness, because we are working so much harder, so much longer with these clients. It's like pausing and going, okay, but this is the Smith family. Like,
Yeah.
let's really remember really what we're working with. And it could be in two different levels. Like could be where it's not like a fire hydrant where it's just a slow dripping faucet. Like
Hmm.
it could be so many different ways. I'm working with a family right now and it's like we really have no timeline, but man, they're so eager to offer, but on the right thing. And the right thing happens to be a unicorn. And so
Mm.
it's like that unicorn comes up, we're ready to jump and they're constantly in communication with me, but it's not where it's like it's a fire hose because a U-Haul is sitting in a hotel and there's a family of 5
Mm.
waiting to be in something. So it's just really, really looking at the individual that you're working with, for sure.
See, I have a client who's kind of opposite of that. Like, well, honestly, they really need to move. They're in an apartment and they're
Mhm.
having extended family move in.
In an
This
apartment.
well, it's a townhouse, but still, like,
Yeah.
it's small for a lot of people. I think it's like 4 adults then and some kids and thrown into the mix. And so, when that scenario came about, which originally they were looking for just their small family, now they're finding something for extended family. I've showed them so many homes. I think I've been working with them for about a year now. And now that their situation has changed, we saw a bunch of houses. They were like, yeah, let's offer on this one. This is the one. It was so great. Like they said love like a few times in the house. Like, we love it. I love it so much. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, finally. And then I wrote up the offer. I was like, hey guys, I sent it over for you guys to sign. And then the husband calls me and I was like, oh no, did I misspell your name? Like what's wrong? And he's like, "Hey, I think I'm going to jump on and get the pre-approval too so we can increase our budget." And I was like, "Cool." Like I'm like, "Dang, I thought we found the one. You guys said the L word
The
2
L
hours
word.
ago. Like what
Yeah.
changed?" So just kind of pivoting there, and we're going to adjust the search now and go a little bit wider and a little bit more expensive, I guess.
Yeah. It's so many different pieces to the puzzle. But we're going to take a break and we're going to dive into wrapping up what else we've learned the first half of 2024.
Are you looking for ways to become more efficient and save time in your day as a real estate agent? We've got the thing for you. We have created 18 done-for-you email templates that cover the entire process on the buying side and the selling side. The best part is that this is only $49 and includes customizable email templates for the process to get you through start to finish with your buyers and sellers. Head over to realestateable.com/email templates, and that's where you can find them.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to talk about a little bit of where our business came from in the first 6 months. So, what would you say is your highest? Is it referrals? Is it online Facebook finds? Is it what Instagram?
I think so. Always, always, always referrals. And just this week, like we're at the end of a week, and just this week, I had 3 past clients or um, SOI people that I know. 3 people have sent me 3 active, ready to go people that are looking to buy or sell. I think that when you look at what lasts, like what is the timeless, not the trending, not the keeping up with the right thing on social media, et cetera. Like, what is it that you can like bank on? It's the people. For sure, it's the people. And I think the more that we take care of people, the more that that's going to return um, to you. So I feel like for me, it has always been, but even more so. And it's just been, where it's not as aggressive of a approach of business. It's been like a gratitude season for me where I'm just like, man, if I really just keep doing what I'm doing, my business is going to continue to turn really great people and like-minded people too. So it's not like the sign call, the social media, the cold leads like that. It's just, okay, great. The Smith family just sent me people that are basically the Smith family. And I love
Mm-hmm.
the Smith family, that kind of thing. So for me, that's where it's been. I know for you, and I'm just looking at your lead sources, you've been getting a lot of, because you have listings, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
business from those listings. So
Yeah.
what does your first half of the year look like? For me, it's definitely hands down the same, just more relevant, I think now.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten sign calls. So I've been getting buyers from, I had a really good listing right by Fort Campbell, beautiful like country setting. And I've listed and sold 4 or 5 houses, and one of the houses I've sold it a couple times.
Yeah,
So
literally.
literally, and my buyers bought that house. So hopefully, if they ever move, I'll be the one to sell it. But, and then I've also gotten listings from sign calls as well. Like, hey, you listed my neighbor's house, and we still have your just sold card or whatever. So that's been a lot for me. I do get a lot of referrals. I get referrals from Instagram. I actually just got a referral from a guy that Mark served in the Army with. His
Mm.
wife is a realtor. And so she just sent me someone. They're coming next weekend. So just,
It's kind of been a mix of everything.
yeah.
I feel like right now, and even like diving into the second half of the year, like right now, I feel like like the business that we're getting, the people who are raising their hand are serious. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is not the willy-nilly, et cetera. But I also think that more things like the drive-by, the signs, like those kind of things, making sure that your listing remains very much show ready from the street.
Mm-hmm.
During the time that you have it under contract. We do not put under contract signs on our listings because of just that. I
Yeah.
mean, that house went under contract pretty quickly. And I know that you have had the one that you're referring to by Fort Campbell. I mean, 4, 5, 6 leads that have come
Yeah.
off of that. So we don't ever put the under contract signs with the sign writers on our listings. But
Yeah. Unless they request it. I've
well,
had sellers request,
yeah,
so we'll change it if they specifically say.
yeah, which I think is very, very randomly low. as far as that
Yeah,
goes.
I've only had 1 or 2 people do that.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that like when you're looking at it, you're heading out of the first half of 2024 and really going, okay, we're working harder. We need to work smarter. Where has your book of business? And if you're not keeping track of where your book of business is coming from, just period. I know when we started doing this, we didn't go, okay, today is January 1, 2020. We're going to now start tracking this. We went back 2 to 3 years and really went through those transactions and we're like, it's really eye-opening to see
Yeah.
where stuff is going. But I do think that more things like I have a listing right now under contract that came off of a just sold postcard a year ago. And so I think it's also really good to be tracking that because you're like putting the time, the marketing money, et cetera, into different things and wanting to make sure that it's the right place to make that happen. So
Yeah.
definitely think tracking that and then using that to kind of guide your steps into the second half as well.
Yeah. I also think that don't count out people that you've already, like, I went on a listing appointment 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That have only done pop buys, have only, like, they've never come to an event, nothing. And then she called me out of the blue and I went on a listing appointment with her yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just because I did pop buys and, you know, mailed her the cards and things like that. Whatever I was marketing to her, and
It ended up
yeah.
turning around for sure. I think we're going to see more of that just in general. I think honestly, it's a little bit more rewarding than like the taking order kind of stage that we're coming out of. You're going to see more of that where you're like, man, it's worth it. Like the things that I'm doing is worth it. Was sitting yesterday with 2 agents that have been in the business for a little bit of time. Some of them we've worked with before. Some of them have been in our company. But talking with them specifically, and they were talking about a lot of stuff that we do on social media and a lot of the local presence and the local focus. And they're like, but do you really get business from that? Like, do you really actually sell houses? Because every Thursday you go live and you talk about 4 to 5 events that are happening for free in our community. That has been, did you do the first one?
I was the very first one.
Yeah, that's been 6 years. Holy smokes. I did not even think about that. That was like
Every Thursday
every
for 6
single
years.
for 6 years. What's funny is what I shared with them was, okay, do we get a direct lead from Thursday local happenings just popped off live and we just get a buyer or a seller lead in our inbox? Absolutely not. Do we have a residual touch that happens to not only our clients, but anyone who is following us? And it's not even just our Thursday local happenings. It's the Love and Unlocals that we do every month. It's the stuff that we share. It's the more about real estate and connecting clients with our community, et cetera. Is that an organic touch that is happening, just like what Ashlee described with the pop buys, with the mail outs, with all of those things? If they're following us, is that something that is touching them organically? Because I know that it is. They might not be raising their hands, even liking the video, but the amount of clients that I then see, oh, they were at our state park that exact weekend for an event that we featured. The amount of times that has happened in 6 years where it's like, yeah, maybe they found it on their own, but the amount of times that it's happened, I'm like, no, that's what's going on. Those organic touches. And it was funny that those agents are like, oh, I see what you're doing and I see the value and I see it, but I don't want to do it. And I was like, that was free 99.
And it's also literally nobody wants to do it.
Nobody does.
I don't want to do Thursday live,
but
do I do it?
You do it.
Yeah.
But I think when you're rotationally doing that, you're doing it every 5 to 6 weeks, 4 to 5 to 6 weeks. Like it's not every single, and literally the time frame of that, we are in and out of there within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally.
And that's even when we don't know what to say and we're looking at the email on the spot. Like, okay, I'm saying this, you're saying this. Okay, got it. And we're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've like perfected it down to a science.
Literally. And so I think that stuff like that, when you guys are looking, of course you're tracking the business and you're tracking, but do you really know that pop buys, mail outs, just solds? Like, do you really know that that's what's returning? But when you think about marketing and you as a consumer, it's like, what are those things that are keeping brands and people top of mind? It's those touches that happen over and over again. And I think that when you're going into working harder, how can you be working smarter to stop being on the hamster wheel? And so I know we have so many episodes jam-packed with that, but I just think that there's been several different instances here lately, definitely in the first half, where it's like, man, the fruits of your labor, the fruits of the Thursday local happenings you just don't it's not necessarily tangible. And so I just want to encourage all of you guys, the things that you're doing do matter. The things that you're doing do work. And we just need to keep on
Yeah.
keeping on while we're still working harder than we ever have been before, but really keeping at the forefront that people matter and their stories matter. And that really is going to help us be able to perfect how we are continuing to perform at the highest level.
Yeah. Consistency is key there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for you today. I hope this was helpful. I love just coming on and chatting and chatting it up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. We talked a lot about just the first 6 months of 2024. I think my top takeaway is give your clients some grace. It is a crazy time. It's crazy time to buy with the interest rates. People are scared. Houses are sitting on the market. So just give them some grace. Everybody gets a little anxious buying and selling, I think.
Well, I also think that too, like when I'm paying for a service, I have an expectation.
Yeah.
And so sometimes expectations vary. Like we've talked about several different variations of clients, but there is an expectation that has to be met. And we're here to do that. We're in a customer service business, a client-centered business. And I think that remembering the people that we're serving and remembering sometimes there's seasons of like really easy button, et cetera. And there's also times that are not. And I find the most reward really is in that great review that comes from those folks that you're like, man, I'm failing in every single angle, but we truly are not. One of my biggest takeaways and just a reminder is to be in the room with those people that you want to be leveling up to.
Yeah.
And that may not be an actual physical room. You just may not be in a area or marketplace that you have the ability, or you might already be the top of wherever you are physically sitting. Just want to encourage you guys as you're looking through into the years to come, not even just the second half of the years, where can you put yourself that you're going to be leveling up to be better as a human, better as a family member, better as a realtor, a member of society, et cetera. What are those things that you can be doing? That's just my big takeaway. Just got to remember that I can't continuously have to be challenging myself that way.
All right, guys, if you found this episode helpful, make sure you give it a 5-star review. You can find us everywhere on social at Real Estateable, and we will see you next time.